Excuse me. It's time. May I present the vampire, Lestat.
Good evening. Sorry I'm late. I was just trying to catch my breakfast.
Okay. Keep it short. One at a time. Yeah, you.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I remember about vampires is that you guys generally keep your identity secret.
Yes, but why hide it in this day and age? I've hidden in the shadows for centuries. It's time to share myself with the world.
Could you prove it? You know, give us a demonstration of your powers.
If you like, I can give you a private demonstration in your hotel room tonight.
Lestat, your first and only concert's in Death Valley, just days away. Why just the one?
I don't like repeating myself.
There are lots of rumors flying around the internet about the hidden meaning in your lyrics, that you're giving away vampire secrets. Something in all that?
Maybe I'm trying to resurrect a few old friends, daring them to come out.
But these other vampires, aren't they going to be pissed off that you're giving away their secrets?
I imagine they are, yes.
Do you have anything else to say to the other vampires listening out there?
As a matter of fact, I do. Come out, wherever you are.
Hey listeners, welcome to the show. I'm Danny.
And I'm Mark.
And I'm Billy.
And I'm Becky.
And I'm Lara.
This is a spoilful podcast about the 2002 Queen of the Damn film. But before we proceed to anything, I want to bring up Laura because we did not have her on our finale show, and I want to get her input on the finale.
Yay.
Take it away.
Hi, guys. I missed it. I was so sad that I missed it, but, you know, I thought the finale stunk. No, actually, it was awesome. No, it was good. It was good. I gave it 9.5 steaks. I thought some of the other episodes this season were better, but I still really enjoyed it. And I loved the vindication that I got when it was revealed that Armand was the little gremlin we thought he was and took credit for all of Lestat's hard work. It was awesome. I just love that they stuck the landing for the second season in a row. I saw an article that said something like the best show nobody's watching, which makes me sad, but also kind of makes me happy. And since the show is going to be going to Netflix in the fall, I'm really, really hoping for a bigger audience soon.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like, when Daniel closed his laptop and said, I just got a few more questions, I was like clapping up and down. I'm like, go. And he pointed out all the holes in Louis' story, in Armand's story. And I just loved getting to see Armand's face slowly break as he tells him, Armand wasn't, what was he like? He wasn't hiding from play. I wish I could remember, but he said he was directing it. I was like, yes, he was. A little brat.
Oh yeah.
The final scene between Louis and Lestat was so beautiful and well acted, like you guys talked about. They were these two parents who have lost a child, much like Anne and Stan Rice did when they lost their daughter, and just coming together and trying to resolve all the issues that they had because of that and all of the issues they had because of that toxic relationship. I'm glad that they didn't have the romantic ending of like kissing and making up and everything, because I didn't think that would be realistic, but I thought it was bittersweet, and I still feel like there's a future for them. But I'm glad that Louis is finally kind of living for himself and being happy with just himself. And I loved at the end when he said, I own the night. And I'm like, yes, Louis, you own the night. And soon Lestat is going to own the stage. So I'm very excited for the next season. And we get Vampire Daniel, which I wasn't sure if they were going to do because Daniel's a different age than he was in the book, and he has a different relationship with Armand. So at least in this universe, Armand turns him into a vampire out of spite instead of out of sort of love, pity, and fear for his life. And that should be interesting going forward. We'll have to see how that relationship develops between Daniel and his absentee master. Or maker, not master, but maybe master too. Who knows?
Exactly.
Cool.
Right. Thank you, Laura. We missed you for sure.
Oh, I miss you guys.
So welcome back. And now we will be returning to our normally program.
Back to the podcast.
Go ahead, Billy.
Queen of the Damned follows the legendary vampire Lestat, played by Stuart Townsend, who, after decades of sleep, has risen and reinvented himself as a rock star in the contemporary American music scene. His music reveals the secrets of the vampires and awakens the vampire Akasha, played by the legendary Aaliyah, queen of all vampires, and inspires her desire to make Lestat her king. Akasha's malevolent power is so great that all the ancient vampires must stand against her if they want themselves and the human race to survive. Meanwhile, Jessie, a young woman with a shadowy past and a fascination for the dark side, played by Marguerite Moreau, falls in love with Lestat.
Ooh.
Pretty much gives away a lot of the movie, but they're still missing stuff.
Yeah.
This movie was directed by Michael Reimer, also known for work on the TV series Battlestar Galactica, which I was a huge fan of.
I actually just started watching it last Sunday. My landlord was like, "You should watch Battlestar Galactica, but you need to start with a mini series, then get into the show." And so I think I'm like 4 episodes in.
Yeah, and if you really want to get retro, you could be like me and Lyra when we were younger when it came out in the 70s.
Yeah. I saw the original back then, but I've never seen the remake. I just know that it was produced by the same guy who produced Outlander. So, and I'm a big Outlander fan.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I highly recommend it. They usually play it on Sci-Fi. So if anybody needs an old show to binge watch that is very, very cool to follow, do so. That's one. Unless you have way too much to watch like I do that I'm behind on. Becky, the tagline for the movie?
The tagline for the movie is Mother of all vampires. All she wants is hell on earth. And that was actually posted on the original movie poster.
Cool.
And the box office for this film, the 2002 vampire horror movie Queen of the Damned, had a production budget of $35 million and grossed over $45 million at the box office. Domestically, that was 30,336,000. 30. Did I say 45
That's a lot of numbers.
45. Yeah, lots of
It's
zeros.
30,336,800. And that's
numbers hard.
Yeah, I know.
And you're welcome because I watched that movie a lot. So you're welcome because I was part of that.
At least a third of that money came from Danny.
Yeah, right. It was what 66.7% domestic, and international was 15,142,310, and that's 33.3%, ladies and gentlemen. So, this was considered one of those box office bombs because it didn't make back twice as much as what it's supposed to. So, this was. A lot of people love this because it's favored more because of the fandom of Anne Rice's books. It was another adaptation from her books. So a lot of those vampire fans, those Anne Rice fans went to go see this movie or bought it on DVD or watched it on HBO when it came out the following year. So next up. Yeah.
Sorry. The composer was Jonathan Davis and Richard Gibbs. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry, you guys. Oh Lord.
It did not get good ratings.
No, not at all.
No, the IMDb rating is 5.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes rating was 17% on the tomatometer, and it had a 66% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes as well. But for those true fans of the Anne Rice series and will love the fact that they do have these adaptations out there, follow it and love it, as you all will. Everybody loves what they love. The music in the movie, well, there was a lot of music going on within this particular film. So, does anybody have the soundtrack available as far as listening?
I was actually listening to it
Yes, I was
right
listening
before.
to it the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, I was literally like listening to it.
Okay.
What do we got on there?
There is the Deftones. We got Papa Roach, Marilyn Manson, Godhead, Disturbed, Tricky, and many others.
All the new metal scene that was pretty much out around the early 2000s at that point, which was very popular for the day. So obviously they were trying to capitalize with this movie with the music scene that was current at that time, which we will check out later when we go to our preview or look at season 3 trailer of Interview with the Vampire. So I have not watched
everybody.
it. I have not watched it. So everybody else here has. So they're going to be like, oh, we got to look at Mark's face.
That's exactly what we're going to be doing.
Yes.
All right, on to the next segment, which I like to call People We May Know Within the Film. So basically actors, characters in the film, movies, TV shows, things that they were involved with where we could recognize them from. So who wants to start us off, and then we'll all alternate?
I'll go ahead and start with Aaliyah.
Okay.
Who played Queen Akasha. An award-winning singer, songwriter, appeared on Star Search at the age of 10 and was signed to her first record label at only 12 years old. Most popular R&B album were Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, 1994, and One in a Million, 1996. Her first major movie role came when she played Trish O'Day. More information.
There's more listed below in the facts section that we'll get to in a little bit.
Correct. Yeah, there's more information given in the interesting and unknown facts, everybody.
Let me tell you, I graduated in 1994 and I wore that album out.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Stuart Townsend, Lestat de Liancourt, an Irish actor best known in the States for his role as Lestat and also Dorian Gray in the movie League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He had many roles on several different TV shows, Will and Grace, Salem, etc. And he also voiced several characters for Robot Chicken. If y'all ever watch that, it's very fun. He dated Charlize Theron for 7 years. And a fun fact I found on Wikipedia is that he was hired to play, I'm not a Lord of the Rings person. Is it Aragon?
Aragon.
Aragon. Close. In the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but was replaced by Viggo Mortensen the day before principal photography began. According to him, they wanted someone older and completely different from him to play the role, and so he doesn't have very good feelings for the people in charge once that happened.
Wow.
I
By the way, we want someone older and someone totally not you.
I want somebody gruffer and American.
I can't believe I forgot that he played on Will and Grace as he was a pansexual.
He was
and
a cook.
He told Karen that he was a pansexual, and then she grabbed her pants what have you done to my pants? I was laughing. That was so funny. Anyways, sorry. I just
No, that's a good memory.
Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
I'm going to jump to Vincent Perez just because I love him as an actor. But Vincent Perez was born in Lausanne, Switzerland, to a German mother and a Spanish businessman father. After becoming a phenomenal success in European cinema, the lithe, moody heartthrob branched out internationally, finally making his American film debut in The Crow, City of Angels, which is one of my favorite movies. Continuing into the millennium, Perez has remained an overseas art house favorite.
Yeah, that was my first experience with
Who
Vincent
does he
Perez.
play?
He
Who does
plays
play Billy?
he plays Ash.
No, in this movie.
Oh, in this movie?
I think you missed that part.
Yeah, sorry. He plays Marius de Romanes.
Marius. I'll take the next one. That would be.
I liked him in I was just say I liked him in Queen Margot, which is a French movie. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
No. Sexy.
Oh my.
I will have to check that out.
I know, me too.
Sexy and very sad and historical.
Oh, okay. So it's another period piece. All right. Next up will be Marguerite Moreau, who plays Jessie, an American actress with a pretty nice career. She has had a lot of TV roles, most notably as Dr. Emma Marling on Grey's Anatomy. And I did not know that because I don't watch Grey's Anatomy. She's probably best known for playing Katie, a camp counselor in the funny Wet Hot American Summer movies, as well as the 8-part TV series Wet Hot American Summer, and Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later for playing Connie on the Mighty Ducks as well. I forgot about Wet Hot American Summer. Yeah, but it's if anybody likes comedies, that's the best one. It's got a full all-star cast.
That's the guy that plays Ant-Man. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Don't
Paul
tell him I
Rudd.
said. Thank you. He's in it. I love him.
Yeah.
You put Paul Rudd in something, I'm gonna watch it if it's just the dryer going in circles.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next, our initial thoughts and overall in regards to the movie. Go ahead, Mark. What did you think?
Well, my initial thoughts, because I saw this years ago, and honestly, I was keen to the idea because of advertising on TV and everything, and even in the theaters from trailers, that this movie was coming out. I knew it was Anne Rice. The only thing is that I did not see it in the theater. I saw it on HBO when it initially came out on HBO, and that's about it. But I did buy it on DVD when it did come out on that medium. And I still have it somewhere, and probably, and I have it on iTunes as well. And that's where I watch it, or have rewatched it several times as we decided to finally do this recording. I enjoy the film, I really do, and it's me coming in as an outsider because I never read the book, but I like the music because. Yeah, even though the new metal scene wasn't my scene, but I enjoyed the heavy metalness of it. I liked the idea that he was a musician. I loved the mystique of Akasha, and I oddly enough, I did enjoy Marius and his little pop-ins every once in a while, and what his character was and how it was presented. But overall, I enjoyed it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who hate it, but I enjoy it.
How about you, Billy? What are your thoughts?
Well, I actually saw the movie before I ever read the books for the first time, but I'm going to show my age. I was a kid when I first saw it. I was itty bitty. I saw it on HBO as well. But as a little kid, I've always loved vampires. So as a little kid, I appreciated it because it was a vampire movie. But when I was older and I had read the novels finally, when I watched it then, I was like, wow, they really butchered this story. But I love the cast. I absolutely love the soundtrack, and the costuming in this movie's superb. It's really great costuming. And I actually liked one of the little effects that they put on the vampires in this movie where their eyes were reflective like animal eyes. I always loved that little aspect. I wish that was actually part of the novel lore. I wish that was a real part of the story. But otherwise, that's basically my thoughts. It was Good on all parts but the story.
How about you, Becky?
It was campy, but I remember when you mentioned us doing this, the first thing that popped into mind was how much I hated that movie the first time I watched it. But going back, and I've since watched it twice since we decided we were going to do this, I did make a mistake of doing the book, reading the book in between, and once you read the book, you can't go back. But the music and the costumes were great. I like that part about it too, Billy. I thought the settings for a lot of the scenes were pretty decent, or were pretty, and then a lot of decent visual effects considering the time this came out. I did enjoy it more this time than the first time I watched it. As I said, I really, really didn't like it the first time, and I did go see it in the theaters.
How about you, Laura? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to show my age even more because I think I was like 30 when it came out. And
Yeah.
so I think it was on HBO. So I kind of watched it in the background. And because I really was impressed with the first movie with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. But since neither one of them were in this, I just kind of like, I'll watch it. It'll be fine. And like Becky said, it was I found it campy and a little cheesy, but I think maybe it wasn't made for my age group since I was actually 30 at the time. And I'm like, I think this is for younger people, but it was definitely a show of its time because I love how they hot topicked out the entire crowd at the concert, everyone in line. I mean, I was a young goth at one time, and I'd gone to a lot of goth clubs and concerts, and I swear I've never been in a line where everyone looked like they had just bought their clothes off the rack at Hot Topic and had their hair done from some it's like my daughter now who's 17, and she says, man, you could tell this is a show that was supposed to be written for teenagers by some Gen Xer. Like, oh, well, I guess. This show seemed like it was a show that was written by an older person for younger people, and they went into a Hot Topic and they said, this is how people dress and everything. When you see the band, like, it focuses on their crazy hair and like, ooh, a nipple ring.
Oh my goodness.
About this nipple ring.
Not enough DIY.
I was dying so much. It was so funny. And then at the concert, they're all like holding up pitchforks and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is like the biggest Hot Topic concert ever.
And
Vakken. When I first saw the movie, I hadn't read the books. I'd only read Interview with the Vampire a long time ago when I was a teenager, and I hadn't gone back and read any of the other books. But now, since I have read the books, you're right, there's so much of the books that's left out of it. So I was just watching it for the enjoyment of it. And I actually just had much more fun watching it this time just because I was laughing and enjoying so many of the scenes. And I have to say, though, Stuart Townsend, as cute as he is like the Temu version of Lestat. Especially after seeing him compared to Sam Reed, because he is so flat and lifeless, and he has no charisma and no pizzazz. But I had fun watching this just because I kind of laughed at it.
And I think he's shorter than Sam Reed too in general. So he just kind of seems miniature in comparison.
He's pocket size. He's a pocket size Lestat.
I think he's like my height. I'm like 5'9".
Oh my goodness.
What'd you think, Danny?
Oh Lord. So
well, he did love it, so he watched it so many times.
It did not age well. I will say that. I was a junior in high school when I went to go see this as a, in quote, Valentine's Day date. And I loved it. I was like, this is cool. Like, I'm ready to see this. I was like vibing with Aaliyah. They made all the like commercials, the trailers were like centered around Aaliyah's character, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go see this movie with Aaliyah. Turns out it wasn't about Akasha, it was about this vampire named Lestat, and I still loved it. The music was rocking. I was all about that during that time in my life. Yeah, and rewatching it for the podcast, I'm like, I was into this. I mean, I would say the music I'm still into. But when it came to like the movie, I was like, why?
There was a lot in the story, honestly, if you think about it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just there, and even now, like knowing, because I read the book a long time ago, and I don't remember the book to its entirety, but from what I remember, they like put people in the film to make it like relate to Queen of the Dam, but it doesn't have a lot of the story of like Lestat, and like making like a lot of the, I guess now having Lestat be kind of a gay character, and have this relationship with Louis the way that it was represented in the show, and I mean I guess the first movie as well. It's like I I I'm like I like it a little bit less because in the book, well, I guess we'll talk about it in the book, but or
Yeah, we'll do the book talk at the end. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, when I was younger, I rated it a 9. This time around, maybe a 7. Yes. The music still, I still love the music. I still put on, Linkin Park was my stuff. Chester, rest in peace. Loved his voice. Like, just I still listen to his music. And so yeah, I it was my thing.
Right, Danny, though, that they completely, and I didn't notice this because, I hadn't read the books the first time I watched it, but they really straight washed Lestat in this because at least in the first movie, it was like lightly implied that they were gay. In this, they just completely ignore that. And he has, an affair with Akasha. He has this like thing with Jesse, and there's no Louis at all. They completely
no mention of Louis.
Louis, they don't even.
Yeah.
Louis is a far distant memory, apparently.
Like, how did he get there, and why was he
The love of
sleeping
his
so
life.
long? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the only thing, if they did allude to it, if anything, all he could say is like, "Yeah, I'm trisexual. I'll try anything."
Yeah.
But,
all right, so let's move on to the next part of the podcast where we talk about our favorite moments within the movie. Mark, do you have any?
Me? Well, there's like a whole bunch of them that I would say. There's certain moments that really stand out to me. Obviously, in the very beginning, when Lestat wakes up and he's hearing the music that like draws him to it. Then he indoctrinates his band and makes him hit them his children and his pretty much his own little coven. But I loved the music that was wrapped around it and everything else. And then I would say, just to scoot around a few scenes, I would say when he does the presentation to Akasha in Marius's little temple with the king, and she puts out her hand, the stone look of her, and he winds up biting into it. I thought that was amazing, and it gave more. I don't know. It made me appreciate this more than I did the Twilight movies, because the Twilight movies, I don't know, Captain Sparklefingers vampires don't really work with me. This was more of a more vampiric thing, but the one scene that I really truly enjoyed was the pub scene with Jesse when she first goes to the pub, and then she goes, "Oh no, mine is an ancient." And then we get the scene with her meeting with Lestat. But that's about it for me when it comes to more favorite. We could go more in depth later on.
Okay, how about you, Billy? Any standout moment that you like from the film?
Every scene inside the Coven bars was my favorite because it hinted at a vampire culture. Especially like what Mark said about when Jesse goes into the bar and they're trying to figure out who her maker is because she's implying that she's undead, which I'm pretty sure they could sense that she's not.
She could smell. They could smell it.
Yeah, her blood's pumping. So anyway, but the guy, I don't know if you ever get a name for him, but I guess like the little leader of that group that's harassing her, she goes, "My maker's an ancient." He goes, "Well, unless you've got him in a bottle somewhere, they've all turned to dust." And I always thought that was like the best dialogue of the whole movie.
That's funny.
How about you, Becky? Any moments?
Again, can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Marius and Lestat sitting on Lestat's billboard, and they're seated right at Lestat's crotch. I don't know why that made me laugh. And the second time around, I laughed even harder. I really liked Akasha's entrance, and I don't know why, if anybody else noticed this, if it was intentional or what, but the way Aaliyah moved, she looked like a snake was moving.
Yeah, kind
I
of like
thought that
some
was-
Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes,
right?
that was a hot scene. And then her costumes were great. I liked when towards the end of the movie, when the big standoff's about to happen and Lestat bites Jesse, and then the names on the wall, the family wall, start bleeding. I thought that was cool. And I liked the final scene of them walking off into the dark with the fun music playing behind him. It was very Twilight, but I thought it was cool. And then Marius popping in to say hello to David. I liked all those parts.
Oh, David.
Yeah.
How about you, Laura? Any?
I liked Akasha's entrance into the goth bar because that was awesome. She is talking to some guy at the bar, and he thinks she's just some baby vamp or something like that. And she turns around and starts, like Becky said, she moves like a serpent. I mean, I thought her like movement was otherworldly, really beautiful. Akasha was just perfect in this. I mean, Aaliyah playing Akasha, she really had like the beautiful bone structure and that sleek, gorgeous body. And Akasha is young in the books, so that was nice that they kept her almost, maybe 1920 or so. And yeah, she was gorgeous. And when the one vamp jumps up, first she grabs that guy's heart out and starts eating it like Daenerys Targaryen. And she's like devouring his heart, and then the other vampire flies into the air and she just flicks her hand at her and bursts into flames. I thought that was awesome. And then as she's walking out of the club and the club is in flames, I just got Carrie White from the movie Carrie vibes from that. So I loved that scene.
I love this thing she does with her hands when she's like walking into the middle of the club. She kind of like gets them like really stiff around her waist, and she's kind of like, I'm acting like this ghoul. I don't know. I always love that image of that scene.
Beautiful. She was beautiful. She did great.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah, she did.
How about you, Billy? Oh, Billy, sorry. Danny.
It's okay. I've been called worse.
I'm going to talk to you after this.
Oh no. I think it's time to block numbers. I'm just kidding. So anything that Aaliyah was in was my favorite. Even that last part, like even when Jesse gets bit and do see that blood. But I love when they all drain Akasha and she just starts turning black and just and then she like asks for Lestat. She starts flicking them and bursting them, and you can start seeing her lose her powers as they're draining her because one of the vampires he starts to burn up, but then like it stops and then he like comes back. Because she's
You know
losing
who
her
that was?
power.
Who he almost burned to death?
Who?
It was Armand.
Mm-hmm.
That was Armand?
Yep.
Yes.
Shut the
And he
front
looks
door.
Oh
He
my
looks like he was supposed to look in the books, except he doesn't look childless and cute. He looks a little bit like a, I don't.
Yeah.
He looked like a little
And his-
kid,
cute
a
to
pretty
me.
boy little kid.
And his hair
Yeah.
wasn't red or anything like that.
It was
Shut
kind of
the
red.
front door.
It's like strawberry
realize
blonde.
that was
Yeah,
Armand.
that was
Yeah.
Armand.
I was trying to find the actor who played it, but I don't know. I don't see it.
They show
Matt
Maul
Newton.
and
Okay,
Pandora and some of the other vampires in the series are in that movie. They just don't acknowledge them as those
Yeah.
Oh my
characters.
Lanta, my
Sadly.
mind is blown right now.
I'm with you, Danny. Wow.
Wow. Okay. The more you know. That star just like came across my brain.
That's
more
why
you
they
know.
made it a pretty boy. If you looked at him with the flowing locks of hair and everything too, I was just like, "Who's this guy?" and then I always was like wondering too until when I was doing research and I saw it and I was like, "Wait, Armand?"
That is so interesting. All right, now we're going to go into the part where we're going to break down this movie, like we did the show. And we're going to get started with the Lestat hears the music of a nearby band and raises from his sleep, joins the band, becomes the rock star, announces one concert in Death Valley, calling out all the vampires. I love when he goes, I'm going to butcher this. Come out, wherever you are. But he says it more deeply, I guess. I don't know.
You did very
I
well.
thought that was great.
I don't have the deep voice for it. But yeah, that whole scene in the I want to say garage is hilarious when Lestat goes and it's like, I'm the vampire Lestat, and they're like, and the girl's like, haha, cool name, vampire, and then he just like zooms to the side and then you just see the guy with shirtless. He's like all freaked out and he's like, oh my god, what's going on? And then I am laughing this time around. I'm laughing because it's just the acting was just so like over the top.
Their acting in particular was terrible.
It was. Yes.
Oh my god.
I'm like, yes.
The bald guy, he's like, who the hell are you, man?
Yes. I was like, who talks like that? I'm like, oh Lord.
Somebody would have been like nowadays would be like, "Oh, really? Are you from some goth band or something?"
That and then they would have been like, "What the fuck?"
Or at our age, just like stroke gone. Just stroked out.
Next, you guys have any other thoughts? Otherwise, I thought we'd go on to the next scene.
I do have one question before you go. He said they were at his house, correct? When he was on his way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure I heard that.
Was that
His
in
old
New Orleans?
townhouse? Yeah,
New
his old
Orleans.
townhouse in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
That's where
Cool.
he finds the band playing.
The squatters.
Okay.
All
sorry,
right.
go ahead.
Next, we meet Jessie, a Talamasca agent who discovers that Lestat is a real vampire, and she tries to infiltrate the vampires at a local London goth club. which I thought was funny because they just popped the Talamasca in all of a sudden. The only explanation that we get is a little subtitle that says Talamasca Institute for Paranormal Research or some shit like that.
Yeah, which is wild.
That's the only introduction we get to the Talamasca at all.
Like I said, they kind of rushed stuff into the movie that was based on books just to make it. But we need to keep this flowing. We need to keep this flowing. We don't want to go into pack history. We don't want to talk about, Louis and Lestat and their history or the Talamascans and what their history were as being watchers of everything, not just vampires, but also witches and other things. And I think werewolves.
For like centuries and stuff. And it's just funny when Jesse's presenting this whole thing to them, and then they're like, how did you get this photo? And she's like, oh, I went there and took it myself. And she's like, you're an apprentice. You don't do field work.
Yeah.
I hated how they made a knockoff of the motto for the organization too. Because the motto is we are watching, we are always there. We watch and we're always there, but their motto in the movie is observe the dark realm, but be not of it. And it just sounded so campy. And I was just like, oh, you couldn't even try to make something clever.
Just use the regular motto. The
original is fine.
Right.
It made me laugh when David comes and gets her and it's like, I need to show you something. And then pulls out all the pictures and then just
his obsession with
just
Marius.
rush quick. It was so. But again, the first time watching it years later, I didn't think anything of it until I listened to the book and then went back and watched it. And I was like, wow, they got through that quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they do show all the paintings of Marius throughout the decades, though, and Marius is the painter of the vampires. And I don't know if those were actually Marius's paintings or paintings done by contemporaries of his, but yeah, they go through. And as an art history minor and art major, I did like getting to see some of the different decades of styles of artwork that Marius is depicted in.
Yeah, they were well done.
Yeah. I do like the Renaissance one where he's with the devils and stuff like that. I really like that one.
Everybody good
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, is everybody good on that one?
Yeah.
Right. So next we get a Lestat backstory where Marius creates him and teaches him the ways of the vampire. He also discovers and drinks the blood of Akasha.
Yeah.
That scene on the beach
with the girl
had me laugh. No, before the girl.
Oh,
when he's like, you need to respect your your prey, and then he just kicks the dude in the head. I was like, what? It was going well for a minute, and then I was like, I don't okay.
Apparently Marius is just a douche.
Right.
And it's so funny to look at this, and you can see the same things with Lestat that Louis had to deal with, as well as handling giving up his humanity. What, I could never know her? No, if you get to know her, you got to eat her. And then it's and then of course it's you've shown yourself. Oh my God, how dare you? And then then you could see the rebelliousness into Lestat after that. At that point,
I feel like his sort of disdain or dismay of being in the shadows as a vampire and a kind of guilt for killing humans kind of undermined his Lestatness in this movie, because he did have some issues with it in the books, but he was mostly okay with being a predator of man. He thought it was his way of getting back at humanity or being human itself. But in this movie, he's kind of sad that now he can't be friends with random strangers because he has to eat them to know them.
Like, I want to play with the other kids.
Right.
And Lestat loves humanity. He doesn't want to go live apart from humanity. He loves being a part of it. And this was one of the problems with this movie too, is that they tried to stuff two books into one. It's not just the Queen of the Damned, but it's also parts of the vampire Lestat that they tried to cram into this one movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because
And
all
that-
of Lestat's, and this is not even his true origin story, but
Yeah.
his origin story is covered in the interview with the vampire.
Right.
That show, everybody.
The
not
vampire
movie.
Lestat, not interview with the vampire. Yeah. I'm assuming we'll be getting his true origin story in season 3.
Same
They
here.
better.
Wait for that. I'm like, you gave us a trailer, just release it.
Right.
I think they're gonna rush this next season because everyone is so excited for it because they've already got some of the music score coming out and everything.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they've already been working on it. So I'm like,
If
all
they
right,
drop a teaser, they can't drop a teaser and then
wait 2
push it
years.
off for
2027.
2 more years. They're going to get another New Mutants on their hands.
Yeah.
Remember when the New Mutants came out with the trailer 2.5 years before it came out?
Longer than
Oh,
that.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
It was far
It's
longer
ridiculous.
than that. I remember that.
Yeah, they better not make us wait that long.
No, I don't think they're going to do that. This is a
Don't
regular
think so.
TV series. It's already got big backing. And Larry, you had said that Netflix has acquired it now.
Yes, the season 1 and 2 are going to be arriving on Netflix in the fall.
But it's going to be
Oh.
on AMC for the most part for season 3.
Yeah, it's going to be similar to The Walking Dead. They'll have the old episodes on Netflix, and then after an appropriate amount of time, it will probably go to, the newer season will first premiere on AMC, just like The Walking Dead, and then go over to Netflix after a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd assume so too. Because it's starting, Jason actually mentioned that about The Walking Dead as they're covering that now on the Cast of Us. And they said that they're starting to launch that a little bit more so people get more exposed to it. Because for the longest time, you couldn't even see it on AMC Plus, all the older episodes, or you would just have to watch the live stream that they do for The Walking Dead live, whatever, on AMC Plus. But they didn't really do that with Interview.
I don't think a lot of people are going to subscribe to a niche channel like AMC Plus just for one show, but once it's on Netflix, it's going to get a huge international audience.
Oh, definitely.
I think will help a lot. I hope.
agree.
Oh yeah, especially with the second season, they would. We better get a lot of and then hopefully by next spring we get this new season.
I'm sure it'll come out by March?
Hopefully.
For sure, I would think.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll be sure to work on a cool look for the season finale for that season.
Yeah, you gotta.
And by then we'll do video.
Yeah,
Everybody.
We're all gonna be in costume.
Oh, that'd be so cool, actually. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I get to go drag out my old goth dresses. Fun.
Halloween and what would be in May? Halloween in May.
I'm down for it.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is my everyday attire.
This is just how I dress. I don't know what you're talking about.
I woke up like this.
Right?
Thank you for getting the memo of how we're supposed to dress.
And then we're all on the same page.
Now that sounds like what we do in the shadows at this point.
Yeah.
I love that show.
I need to finish watching that show.
It's so good.
Its last season is coming up this
I know.
October, I think, or
Yeah.
September. Yeah.
September or October, I think. Yeah.
I hope they release it
All
in
right.
October for my birthday.
All right, let's
Do we get back to this movie?
Yeah, we should get back to this. We kind of digressed.
Bill,
Sorry, folks.
you want to do the next point?
Of course. In the modern day, the Vampire Lestat concert attracts all the vamps who want to kill Lestat. Marius and the ancients try to defend him, but it is Akasha, awoken by Lestat's music, who comes for him.
Knew that concert was the bomb.
It was.
Well,
everybody-
the fight on the stage was really cool, though.
It was.
It
The
was.
choreography, the fight choreography.
It was
top
it
tier.
was like vampiric ballet on
Yeah.
stage.
Yes.
That's yeah, actually. And then I hear that they had actually did that take 1 billion times, and by then the crowd knew the songs verbatim, so they would actually just all sing along throughout the whole every take. So I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah.
I did like the effect of like the rest of the crowd moving and the vamps in the crowd staying still. Like I thought that was a cool effect. Maybe it's because of the times, and looking back it looked a bit dated, but the like bionic man like jumping.
Oh yeah, they just didn't have that sound
I'm
effect.
like, oh god, that's a little bit goofy nowadays, but maybe it was cool back then.
I know it's so different from what we see in other like current vampire shows where they move fast. They don't have that slow motion, effect to them flying or just their movement. It's just funny to me.
They look like moths to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just preferred how they did it in the first movie with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, where he was in one spot and then you do an instant jump cut and he's in another spot. Like,
yeah.
I thought that was a little bit more sophisticated than all I can describe it as. And you younger guys aren't going to understand maybe the bionic woman or the bionic man. Every time they'd run fast, it was in slow motion, but it'd go.
Cool sound
Imagine
effects.
they're running really fast, but they're running in slow motion. Really fast.
Funny. So when they're like sitting on that billboard, Marius and Lestat, and he like they're talking and he jumps off the billboard and you just see him fly off, and then all of a sudden you just see this black go like cut through the screen. I'm like, that's weird, because if you see Marius' reaction to Lestat fall down, he stares down. It doesn't look like forward, like he would if Lestat had gone down and like forward.
Yeah.
So it was just funny to me. Just I don't know why I'm picking up on all these little details now, that I'm just like, oh, that was a bit awkward. That was like really poorly acted right there. And as a teenager, I was like, yeah, this is a badass movie.
Well, it's like I've watched Charmed like a billion times, but now at my billionth go through, I can see the editing errors. And it's the same thing with this movie. Like, you can see all the editing errors. Oh my gosh.
Even when Akasha walks out of the burning bar, the way that it's edited is it's very like, you can tell that it, like the way that they edited her walking through the flame, and it just yeah, it did not age well, but it's okay. I still love it.
Yes. We all have our nostalgic loves.
Yeah.
That is true.
Any more notes in regards to this?
Nope.
No? Mark, you want to get us the last point there?
Last up would be, after going on a killing rampage with Akasha, who proposes that Lestat become her king, Lestat and Akasha confront the ancients in a final battle against the Queen of the Damned. Okay, so yeah, it was interesting, but the one thing I love about this is, it's kind of, it made me feel like a Blade moment, Daywalker, because we get the information that, through Lestat drinking from Akasha, he gets the ability to walk into daylight, and she makes it clear that, the more you drink from me and the more we're together, you be out in the daylight and your eyes will adjust to the sunlight. But when he goes out to the sunlight, he looks at the beach, he looks all around him, he goes, oh wait, it's a kingdom of corpses. And you can see it on his face. I don't want to be in charge of I'm not going to drink from corpses. It's like, it's very much almost like I have to say Blade Trinity at that point, where they bring back Draco or whatever it is, or supposed to be Dracula, and he literally wanted to destroy the world and drain the whole world at that point, meaning that all vampires are pretty much just like derivative of him. Or that would be the same case with Akasha. She wants everybody to, which is far different from Lestat wants, because he wants everybody to love him for his music and adore him.
And if everyone's dead, who's going to adore him?
Except for himself. He can't really look at himself in the mirror right now. Not
I like what you did there.
I was like, oh my gosh.
So the one thing they did that was pretty cool, and it kind of reflects onto Jesse. During that whole scene, we find out she's the through all the events, is that Jesse's part of what's her name?
Maharet.
Her lineage as when she was human, and that was the whole point. So that was the hidden story, but that was the reason why we saw all these dreams with Jesse in it and reflecting. So they were trying to allude to something, because there was, that little foreshadowing with those dreams. And then we got what we all wanted to see within it. Let's start draining her and then becoming a vampire, but we don't see that till the very end, in the reveal at the end with when they visit David. But the battle scene was pretty cool, of the ancients doing that, I thought, and I liked what they did with that. And then Maharet actually being the one to drink the last drop of
And turn to
Akasha.
stone. That was beautiful.
But it was weird how it's like how Akasha goes to dust and Maharet goes to stone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she took Akasha's life force inside
Yeah.
her, which is why she turned to stone, right?
Yeah, because if you look at Akasha, she also was a stone at one point with the king at one point as well.
I think it also is to make a reference to towards the beginning of the movie when Marius warns Lestat that to drink the last drop would take their death into yourself. And I think that's what that reference was when she turned to stone.
Yeah.
So now
and I believe they kind of make you believe that they had to take every last drop of her to kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get to the last drop.
That whole sequence was just very interesting. The Aaliyah just made a lot of Akasha come to life in her movements, and that whole scene at the end, again, beautiful. I love the fact that she turns into stone, and I always thought that they were gonna this was going to be a sequel, because again, I didn't know that this was part of the book series. I didn't know that it was attached to the first Interview with the Vampire film. So I thought that Moret was going to come back, that she had just become stone to kind of protect herself in that moment, and that she would come back. And then just the way that it seemed like they left it open-ended when Jesse visits David, and asks David if he wants to become a vampire, and he's like, I'm too old for that. I don't think anybody would be too well. I guess there would be a certain cutoff point, but David did not look old to be.
No, he didn't. It could be worse. In Buffy, Spike had done that to his mother.
Yeah. Oh man, and I think she said to him too. Oh my gosh.
Whenever I think of Too Old to Be a Vampire, I always think of True Blood and the guy who used to play Jimmy James on news radio. He was kind of a frumpy older dude.
Yeah.
And he gets turned into a vampire, and even after he becomes a vampire, he's got a kind of a sad, lonely life of just living as a single vamp by himself. And I think he ends up I don't know, ending his immortality or something like that.
Well, there was one that
he can't have the glamorous life of a vampire.
Well, there was also one in that show that's interesting. Not to move on to True Blood, but I enjoyed that show. It still is great. I highly recommend everybody listen to The Truest Blood with Deborah Ann Wall and I'm forgetting her co-host, but it's a really good podcast that goes through all the season and go episode by episode. But there's this one vampire that I forgot the guy's name, but he deals with the V juice, and he gets it from a vampire who I think is gay, and that's the only reason why he was getting the blood, because the vamp liked him. So but he wasn't attractive at all. I just stayed in the house all the time.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then he ends up getting killed. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah. And you do see that certain vampires are stuck alone because either it's like they're not attractive enough or they're just too old. It's sad.
That is sad.
I'm all depressed now.
Yeah, same thing.
Past my time to become an immortal? Oh, I'm so sad.
You would think you would drink something, you would get younger like that.
I mean, because isn't that the precedent that when you become a vampire, you take on more attractive
features? Yeah.
Features. So even if you are older, you could still be hot older.
Yeah. You don't
That's what
look
I'm
like,
hoping for.
Clint Eastwood all the time.
Santiago had it going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Santiago in the
That's
show
true.
did. Yeah.
That is true. Yeah.
We can make it work. Come for us, vampires.
Any final thoughts on this point? How about any notes? Any notes that we didn't get to cover?
My only note was that the dialogue in this was so bad that it gave me so much appreciation for the dialogue in the series, because Lestat is given so many clever lines. He's allowed to be his Lestatiest with his like bitchy pettiness and humor and just lightheartedness. And yeah, Lestat in this, he was such a limp rag. It made me sad.
Yeah, he like the arrogance that Lestat has. Like, I felt like this current actor Stuart was like
Stuart
trying too hard to be Lestat. Like, he was trying too hard to be arrogant. Like, he couldn't be arrogant.
He was trying to be more mystique.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lure you to me. Oh.
To me, he didn't even feel like Lestat. He felt like your basic cookie cutter type vampire.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm strange and mysterious.
Look at me, I'm crawling on the walls and I'll jump on the girl.
Those walls. I was like, well, first when he showed up on the big screen, I was like, okay, too much. And then when he started crawling the walls, and every scene with Jesse, with the back and forth, I want to know what it's like.
God.
Do you want to know what it's like?
Oh,
I was like, this is Edward Cullen and Bella Swan right now. That's all I could think about when their scenes together.
Yeah,
like so much.
I know what you are. Tell me. Say it. You're a vampire.
And the way his journal reads too is so angsty. It's like,
is this Louis? Is this Louis
right,
that we're reading right now?
They just combine both characters into one.
Yeah.
They also made it
so
look
it just
like
made
Jim
me
Morrison.
appreciate the dialogue. Yes.
Well, the movie
True,
definitely
Becky.
for me made me appreciate the series that we just have now. So,
definitely.
Thanks to that. But I'm not saying that the first movie wasn't bad. Interview is pretty much legacy for itself. And it was a really, really great try for putting the book into a film format. Now that they have the ability to make it a series and do it in long form, I think they're able to fill it out a lot more and flesh out the characters and make us appreciate the characters.
I think that was a complaint of Anne Rice, was that the movie would have been better off if they had made it a series instead of trying to cram it all into the however long. What was the runtime? Do we know?
It was
That
like
was
an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Because
the
I looked
Queen of the
last night
Dam,
when I watched it.
Yeah, Queen of the Dam was an hour and 45, and interview is like close to 2 at most, but even still, there's only so much you could cram in. Like I said, you noticed all the stuff with the Talamasca, the character development with Jesse, Lestat, and how he became to be, and how they threw that in there, shoehorned it in there, and Marius. And then we have to get to the end where the final battle is. And it's kind of your typical tropes of every action, horror, sci-fi kind of film, but mixed with that drama. But it was meant to appeal more towards like what Lara was saying was the goth side of things. So
and maybe a younger audience too, the young teenagers and 20-year-olds who wanted to go see Aaliyah and wanted to see like it was probably like the Lost Boys were for us when we were teenagers.
Yeah. But this was like a last ditch for the Hot Topic crowd. Because Hot Topic it's still in the malls, but it's not
really.
Yeah.
All right, we're all going shopping there for the finale of season 3.
But I enjoyed. I actually enjoyed it, but like Lara says, she and I are the same age, and it's like some people were like, they're like, it is a Hot Topic kind of movie.
I think it kind of falls into that same kind of industrial future tech kind of movies like The Matrix and The Crow, and I think it was trying to go for that, but it did not reach the levels of The Matrix or The Crow.
Johnny Mnemonic or Strange
Cyberpunk.
Days.
Yeah,
I do give him an A for effort.
They tried,
especially the second time after having listened to the book. They did try their best to explain situations quickly in a way that if somebody didn't know what Interview with the Vampire was or whatever, would at least have some understanding of what was going on. But it was bad.
My biggest gripe with the Akasha character was her motives, because in the book we get this big, huge, grandiose motive as to why she's doing what she's doing. And she's trying to revive some ancient vampire religion, and she's trying to quell the male population so that way war and death and all this other stuff, because she blames men for the reason why there's so much war going on in the world. But in this movie, we just get a 2D love story. And I really hated that, because I as a reader, I dislike random evil. Random evil upsets me because I can't empathize with random evil. Like, random evil is pretty biblical, and I think certain writers started to dislike that too, like John Milton. That's why he created Paradise Lost. I think he was like, why would the devil do this? And so the poem Paradise Lost came to me, but I don't like, and I can't relate to random evil. And her character is definitely a random evil in this movie. Like, you don't understand.
Are you saying her alignment is chaotic evil?
Yeah, I mean, there's really
she
no
just wanted to kill everyone.
Right, but there's usually some reason for that. There's usually some motive that makes, exactly. And you don't get that from her. She just wakes up because someone had a really nice melody and was like, let's just kill everybody. And she
they kind of tried to imply, because what Marius is in what he said of her, and it was just very short to Lestat. But that was it. And then, if you're not paying attention, if you went to the bathroom in the movie theater or you went to go get popcorn, you come back, like, what's happening? Oh, well, she's here.
And she wants to kill everybody for some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
She has a score to settle, and that's all we know.
And Leah's like, I just want to make it look cool. So that's what we're going for.
Let's see here. Any more notes?
I think we covered everything I have.
Yeah, I think so. I did as well. How about any quotes?
I have a few.
I have one.
Go ahead.
It wasn't really a quote, but I thought it was funny when David was going through the newspapers after the concert and there was one that was talking about were there drugs in the water at Lestat's concert, trying to typical news media trying to make sense of chaos. That just made me laugh for some reason.
Oh.
That's it.
Larry,
Mine
I
was
kept
mine.
listening. I kept listening for a good quote, and I'm like, "There's got to be a good quote in here somewhere. Come on, come on!" And then finally, Lestat says to Jesse when her and this other groupie are brought backstage to him, he says, "Ah, London goth. It's funny. I would have pegged you for a Talamascan." And the groupie says, "I'm an Episcopalian."
I love that,
That was
line.
Funny
awesome.
line in there. That was good.
They had to have that
was-
funny line.
What did his little bouncer guy say? And I'm a freaking Buddhist. He's like, come on.
Yeah, yeah. I
Roger,
think that was
yeah.
his manager.
His manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One for me would be Lestat, and when he finally sees Marius after all these years, and he goes, "How did you manage to slip through the 50s in red velvet?" And Marius is like, "I slept. Don't think you've missed much." Marius goes, "Elvis? Elvis, yes. You're bigger than he is now," which is the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Lestat must
I
have
don't
not
know.
known
Maybe
about
if
the mod scene.
Marius hung out with Hugh Hefner in the 50s, he could have gotten away with the red velvet.
Oh.
Well, the
I
reason
can't
why he
believe-
wore red is to cover the blood.
I can't remember if this was a 50s or 60s thing, but the mod scene, there's a lot of like velvet in that scene. So I think Marius could have went by.
Yeah, like
That is true.
Austin Powers.
Yeah.
The velvet
Yeah.
jacket.
Yeah,
Yeah, baby.
And wear a red fez on top of that.
exactly.
Any more quotes?
Sadly, that was it for me.
I have a few more in here. Lestat's saying, I don't have time for this. And then Jesse goes, "All a vampire has is time." And then, of course, Lestat's like, "Not this one." And then, yeah, there are other things, but nothing heavily quotable, really. That's all I got.
All right. Since we don't have any more quotes, let's move into some interesting and unknown facts about Queen of the Dam.
Mhm.
Let's see here. So we have Aaliyah died in a plane crash shortly after principal photography was completed, but had not yet actually performed any ADR redubbing for her character. Michael Reimer called in Aaliyah's brother, Rashid Hoggington. I'm gonna butcher that. I'm sorry.
Rashad Houghton.
To help Houghton. Okay. To help out overdubbing her voice following her death due to their similar voices. Ooh, I didn't know that. Special vocal technology was also used to make his voice sound more feminine. Oh wow.
Maybe
Yeah,
that
I did
explains
think
her.
she had almost like an auto-tune voice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna say maybe that explains the dual voice sound she had throughout the movie.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't even
Which
think
was
about
actually
that.
kind of cool because it made her seem
Mhm.
a little more otherworldly.
that is
It
true.
worked. It did work.
It did work, yeah.
Next up, Aaliyah was the first actor to be cast for the film. She was enthusiastic about taking the role due to her fascination with Egyptian mythology and also being a huge fan of the vampire horror fiction.
You can definitely tell with how she was in the movie. She was
Mhm.
really in that role.
Oh yeah. The way she moved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think she was the best performer in that show.
Yeah, definitely. Who wants to do the next point?
I can. For the scenes of Lestat's concert in Death Valley, over 3,000 goths were recruited from Melbourne nightclubs and on the internet to go to Hot Topic, and I mean just to drive on a fleet of buses to a quarry in Werribee to act as extras.
That's cool.
Wait, we had internet back then?
You're
2002.
Wait. Oh, I guess we did.
Yeah. I
I
was
was
working
poor.
for a dot com company in the late 90s.
Oh gosh, I'm thinking 94 because I'm thinking of the interview with the vampires. Never mind. I'll dial that back. Where we had that whole dial up. Oh my god, that was
Oh,
gotta love it.
AOL, you've got mail.
Oh yeah.
That's when I start to really feel old. Kids
And the
these days
door
will never
opening
know.
and the door
Yeah.
opening and the door closing when someone will log on or log off.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta love that. Who wants to do the next point?
I'm going to
You
take
take
the
it, Mark.
last
I'm going to
one.
take the
So.
last one. Oh, I want to take the last one.
Oh, the one in blue at the bottom?
Oh, no. The one about Stuart
Yeah, no,
Townsend.
you're good. I'm talking
Okay.
about there's one below that.
Cool,
You guys
cool.
go ahead.
You go take this one, Mark. It's about music.
Okay. Well, the singing voice of Lestat was supplied by Jonathan Davis of Korn. However, due to contractual difficulties, Davis could not sing on the soundtrack album release. The 5 songs written by he and Richard Gibbs for the movie were then performed on the album by Marilyn Manson, Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, David Draiman of Disturbed, Wayne Static of Static X, and Jay Gordon of Orgy. Davis was still allowed to play several instruments on the album, though. So that's interesting.
That's wild.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of like what difficulties were there for
It
him?
was
Korn.
touring.
Yeah, Corn.
Oh.
It was touring at that time, trying to get tour dates, everything else. Once you're locked into that, it's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Wayne mentioning that when I saw him at a concert once.
Interesting.
All
Well,
right.
Stuart Townsend shares his name, which this I knew, with a character from another Anne Rice novel, The Witching Hour. Upon meeting Townsend, Rice handed him a copy of the book and instructed him to turn to a certain page number, whereupon was written The Life of Stuart Townsend. Townsend was flattered that she'd written him into her new book until she told him that she had written it 11 years prior.
That's funny.
Holy
Poor
smokes.
Stuart Townsend. He just gets the
Wah,
shaft everywhere. They didn't want him for Aragorn. He
Oh
thought
my
that Anne Rice
gosh.
had written this for him.
It just basically backhanded complimented him.
Yeah.
But I do know about Stuart Townsend because in the series Interview with the Vampire, when they say that some of their agents have gone in and have winded up either dead or undead, I was like, Stuart Townsend. Because spoiler alert for a 30-year-old book, but Stuart Townsend is a Talamasca agent who tries to get involved with the Mayfair witches and ends up dead.
Oh, okay.
Good times. Okay, I felt this is morbid, and I'm sorry, but it tripped me out. In December 2002, 10 months after the film released, Alan Menzies, a man from West Lothian, Scotland, who claimed to have seen it more than 100 times, Danny, you got competition, killed his friend Thomas McKendrick and drank his blood. Upon his arrest, he claimed in court during his trial that Aaliyah's character, Queen Akasha, told him to do it, saying that it would make him immortal as a vampire. Wonder how that worked out. Despite attempting to plead not guilty by reason of insanity, he was declared sane and found guilty of murder before being sentenced to life in prison. A year later, he was discovered dead in his cell of an apparent suicide.
Ooh.
I thought that was wild.
That is wild.
That's
I'm all
crazy.
for getting into a show, but wow.
That's a little too much dedication.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother level.
Oh yeah. But it's
On
funny
that
how
note-
people
On that
I just
note,
I think it's funny when people try to use that stuff to justify their killings of stuff.
yeah.
I wonder if either the movie makers or even Anne herself felt weird about that. Like, did I influence this person's actions?
Oh.
No, they were just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you could try to. It'd be like, oh,
They
But then there
tried to
would
do
be
that.
so many things in entertainment that would have to apologize.
Exactly.
They've done that with
something.
music years ago with
Video
Judas
games.
Priest and video
Mhm.
game violence and just so much stuff out there. So,
Oh yeah.
I grew up Southern Baptist. I'm not anymore. But we used to have during our youth groups, they would play like the Led Zeppelin records and the stuff backwards and talk about how we're all going to become evil if we listen to this music. I'll say I'm 47 now and I might be a little crazy, but still listening to that music.
same here, but you got the music wrong when they mentioned that. That was Barry Manilow.
I'm gonna go in next time I come home and be like, y'all had it all wrong.
All right. Well, I think we got through most of what we wanted to talk about with the movie, but the one thing we didn't really top on, and I think Billy kind of mentioned it a few times and some a little bit by Lara, but is there anything else that you wanted to discuss, Lara and Billy, since you guys read it, or even Becky, the book comparison to the movie?
Everything.
Literally.
Well, do we want to give away spoilers now or wait for book talk and maybe do our quick discussion of the teaser first?
I would say book talk now because that would be this is towards the end anyway.
Yeah, and plus, unfortunately, we did not get any feedback this episode, so we'll.
Yeah,
so
that was my
Send
bad.
us some if you have some, and we'll talk about it on our next podcast.
Yeah. But we're gonna do a little book talk on this, comparing the book to the film. So go ahead, whoever wants to start.
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Billy.
My obvious biggest gripe was the motives of Akasha. I mean, she had this whole very long thought out reason for waking up. And Lestat inspired it, but she had been trying to find a reason to become alive for centuries. Because in the book, when vampires go into like an immobile state, they're still alive, but their spirit has left their body and they're just sort of observing. And I guess it's sort of like you get lost in that state and you forget that you have a body. And she had been observing time. She had been observing people and what they suffered, which I always thought was funny because when she was alive, when she was human, she was this sort of egotistical maniac. She was kind of a maniac. She came from a Babylonian court, and then she married Enkill, who at the time Egypt was called Kemet. So they were still like in the very early stages before dynasties, and they had lived close by to these tribes of cannibals, and they were trying to civilize them. So when she joined the court, she got really into like their religion and stuff. So when everything happened with Amel and she became this immortal person, she thought that she and Enkill had become literal gods and that they were the physical incarnation of Isis and Osiris. So they started to create this sort of blood religion based off of that myth of how Osiris was disembodied and brought back together through the magic of Isis, and he became like the lifeblood of the Nile. So they drank blood thinking that if they drank blood, then civilization would flourish. And they created this sort of religion out of it. So when she went into her statue state, she started seeing what happened after their religion sort of died and went dark. And when she came back, she's like, well, the reason why the world sucks is because men. And and they don't know how to fear the gods anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill the male population by like 70% and give the women
More
all
like
the power.
90, I think. Didn't she want to kill like 1 out of every 10 men?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. But she wanted to have like a small group for like population and stuff like that. But she wanted to yeah, exactly. But basically she wanted to hand the world over to women. And because her theory was that women would be better leaders and they would not have as many wars and stuff as the men. And that was what she was going to do. But see, the vampires that came after, and I think this is what Lestat represents, is So Akasha represents the magical religious vampire culture, while like Lestat, Marius, and the other subsequent vampires represent like the reason and logic, the Enlightenment period vampires who want to do away with things like superstition and religion. And so I feel like when Maharet and Makar, there was another one. There's two redheaded
The
sisters.
twins.
They're twins.
That's what I missed the most.
I mean, I realize how they did that. They had to cut out one of them for time's sake, but I'm like, yeah, you don't get the twins, and
but see,
they're
having
essential
both of
to
them,
the book.
Exactly, they were. It was very important because the way they take in the life force of Akasha harked back to a tradition of their culture, which is they ate their dead. Not because it was like some grotesque cannibalistic ritual, is because they thought they were taking the essence of their loved one into them when they did it. But Akasha, coming from the Egyptian culture, they thought it was barbaric. So that's why they stopped it. But Maharet was basically going to usher in this more enlightened era of vampire culture, and she was going to safeguard their vitality and stuff like that. So that was the gist of the whole story, but they just chopped it into pieces and was like, we're just going to focus on this really two-dimensional love story and this really crazy ancient vampire who just wants to kill everything. And I didn't like that. I was really upset by that. I was like, how could you do that? It's like the best, part of the whole story.
And I will say that... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think she was getting really into like writing epics at this time because didn't she write The Witching Hour after Queen of the Damned? Or was it before?
I think right after, possibly, because I looked at the dates because I was like, oh, I wonder how much of Queen of the Dam inspired The Witching Hour, because the stories of Maharet and Makare seem to feed into The Witching Hour. So I think it was just a couple of years after that she did The Witching Hour.
So Queen of the Dam could be sort of like her prototype epic. She was getting ready to write, because she called like the witching books a gothic epic. So I think she was like trying to figure out how to write an epic, and I think Queen of the Damned was her prototype.
The funniest thing I thought about Akasha is that her MO when she comes back is to kill 90% of the male population because she feels that males are violent and cruel, and getting rid of them and just having women in charge will help the world. This coming from the woman who had two innocent women raped in public and tortured because she had a petty argument with them.
And they told her that the gods weren't real, and she's like, no, they're not. They are real. What are you talking about? You're not witches, you're heretics.
I thought, and that's part of the backstory of, I'm going to butcher their names, but Cayman and the one that they had rape the sisters.
Cayman,
I think he did both. Yeah.
You learned so much about the same vampires that were, I'm assuming, were the same ones that were there for the final battle in the movie, but you knew nothing about their amazing stories. And I still have to go back in my next venture is the Vampire Lestat, but the really cool connection between Daniel and Armand. That was, I don't know how they could have brought that into the movie, but I just wanted to see that play out on screen. I didn't know any of that happened, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also the one thing I mean, I don't think they needed to bring it into the movie, but it is interesting that Jesse is a clairvoyant, a psychic, as many of the Talamascan agents are. But you don't learn in this movie at all that the Talamascans have psychic powers, which kind of sets them apart from all these different X-File type secret societies that follow the paranormal, that a lot of the agents in the Talamasca are powerful psychics, and Jessie is a powerful psychic, and that's why she has ties to the Talamasca, and also she has these ancestral ties to Maharet, because when she gets raped, she has a daughter, and so after she becomes a vampire due to Akasha in the story, she follows her mortal lineage all the way down to Jessie. and takes care of her when she's a little girl. Those are the dreams that Jesse has in the movie.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it too, because Maharet and Mikara were both powerful psychics, or witches as they were called, and then Jesse is also a very powerful psychic, and Maharet kept track of the family tree. I wonder if the concept of a long lineage of psychics came from Queen of the Damned, and she used that in.
That's why I was feeling very like Witching Hour vibes as I was reading or listening to Queen of the Damned. I'm like, oh, I can see where her, the beginning sparks of the Witching Hour were coming from.
Also, I just remembered there was a vampire human love story in Queen of the Damned, and it was actually between Jesse and Maul, not Jesse and Lestat.
You're right.
Yeah, she had that love affair with the hawk-faced druid vampire.
Yeah, he looked like a zombie in the movie. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think he even has a single line.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
he
one who
was.
comes up
Stephen
to her in
Merchant.
the concert and kind of looks at her.
Yeah.
He's just standing be like,
Oh.
I'm going with you.
With the rock star hair, yeah.
And
That was
he
the
is
necklace.
actually he is Marius's maker. Oh no, he's not his maker. He's the one who took him to his maker.
Right. And I think he's like a brother, technically a brother of Marius, because he gets the blood from he gets the blood from a different tree god. Never mind. Yeah, I'm wrong.
Which was funny because there is a line in the movie where he says, oh, it's like the druid chant dances. And I'm like, oh, Marius would know that because he gets taken to see the druids.
Yep.
Interesting.
So-
I have something to ask, though.
Go ahead.
Since Akasha is Egyptian and she's doing all this, was she ever in denial?
It's just a river in Egypt, Mark. It's just a river in Egypt.
You had me. I was like,
It's actually
technically since
Iranian.
Uncle was supposed to be Osiris incarnate, and Osiris is the Nile. The Nile was in her a couple times.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
We all got jokes.
Okay, is that it for book talk?
Well, one thing I will add is poor Akasha did not realize that Lestat was gay.
Well, no, as
Or
he
like-
says in the series, he's non-discriminating.
Yeah, more like
Sure.
bisexual pan.
Whatever. So, anyways, the whole reason that Lestat does do what he does, and if I hope I'm remembering this correct. In Vampire Lestat, he decides that he is going to write this book to take the heat off Louis, because Louis has now written this interview with the vampire, and a lot of the vampires are really upset at Louis for revealing the secret of vampire life. And so I feel like, or I don't feel like, it happens where Lestat goes on to write this book to take the heat off of Louis, and then he does this concert also to kind of bring or take the heat off of Louis and make people forget that Louis did something bad or whatever.
That's an interview?
Yeah, because interview with the Vampire
Lestat. I haven't read that one yet.
Vampire Lestat starts off with he discovers the book that Louis wrote, and he's like trying to like find like the ancient ones, if I'm not mistaken, by like writing, because he starts writing like Marius's name on walls or whatever to get his attention. Am I wrong, Billy?
Well, he actually did his because he didn't like how he's portrayed in an interview with the vampire, and he wanted to give his piece, his side of the story. Yeah.
That too. I like my version better. His dad did it for love.
Well, there
I'm
was a
very excited for that
reconciliation.
one.
Yeah, there was a really reconciliation towards the end of it, but the reasons was just because he wanted to give his side of the story. He didn't like how he's portrayed.
And we get no Louis in the movie. He is in the books. I mean, he doesn't play a huge role, but he is in Queen of the Damned throughout. He comes with the ancients like Pandora and Mael and Marius and Armand to Lestat's aid in the end.
I really
and they do have a cute little point. Oh, the scene with Jesse and Lestat in the movie, which they have no relationship at all in the book. Like she's just, Maharet's descendant, who Maharet is the one who turns her into a vampire, not Lestat. So she's kind of, a side character, but they have no relationship at all. But the end where they go to the Talamasca mother house in London, he actually does that with Louis, not Jesse.
Yeah. And it's him who offers the blood to David, not Jesse or Marius, for that matter. Which leads into the body thief.
Yeah, they better do a good job with the next season. I mean, I don't see them not doing a good job because, I mean, the second season was just very amazing and greatly done, and a lot of twists and turns, and just that reveal at the end that Armand was behind everything. Fricker. I and then this teaser that we're going to share with Mark. And yes, we can.
I can't wait to see his face.
Yes. Okay, so let's take a quick pause. We'll take a pause. Okay.
Should I pause my Audible?
No.
Or Audacity?
No, you don't have to. Let it go just the way it is, and we'll take a quick break.
Look at my baby. Hello, baby. Well, his nemesis is right here at the desk too, so they might get into it. Go.
All right, let's see what do we got here.
Not to show.
I didn't get to get a picture of Billy in his finale costume.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I should have taken a better picture. You don't see my fangs or anything.
No.
No. You'll see them next time. I will for sure.
I was thinking of dressing up, but I had no time. Came from work, made myself a drink, and got online.
Come on. Here's your opportunity to shine.
Is your little pussy gonna come visit my pussy? Come here, pussy.
Whoa, I got back at the wrong time.
Funny.
There we go.
What's his name, Danny?
Her name is Kit.
Kit. Oh.
Funny story. Kit was actually supposed to be my cat, but she chose him over me.
What a bitch.
You didn't hear that,
okay?
That's funny.
Okay. Are we almost ready to do the reveal?
All right. Yes.
So
let's do
excited.
this.
You gonna set it up, Danny?
Where'd Mark go?
No, Mark is setting it up.
Yeah,
Are you gonna do the vocal setup? Are you gonna tell us what we're gonna watch here?
Oh, okay, yes. Let's do the vocal.
Did Billy leave?
All right, so we are going to move into the little interview with the Vampire Season 3 Comic-Con teaser. Meet the Vampire Lestat, which Mark has not seen, and so we are going to get his live reaction.
All right, here we go.
Well, the car's on the
Car's
lot.
been on the lot for hours, man.
Hey, look, if you want, I can have somebody knock on the window. I think he's...
What? You think what?
I think he's entertaining somebody right now.
Do we have insurance for homicide?
You know what? We had 3 deaths on the Banger Sisters. Don't worry about it.
That's him. Jesus Christ. Look at him. Okay, let's go.
Carlo, can you step away?
Mr. Linecourt, hi, I'm Mark Johnson. I'm the executive producer. We talked on the phone a couple of times.
We're really excited about the
I don't remember you.
documentary. Okay.
Hey, man. Thanks for the
Love
tickets
the
last
collar.
night. Great show.
You have 45 minutes and he's gone.
Who the fuck are you?
This is Christine Clare.
Hair and makeup now? Hi, I'm Tammy.
Do I look like I need you? There's a goblet on the table.
You don't like the goblet? Can we get rid of the goblet, please? Thank you. We need to wire you for sound. I hope you don't mind. The camera we're going to be using is called an Interatron. I'll be sitting here, but you'll see my face in the camera. Like we're talking to each other. You don't have to just stare at an empty camera lens.
Your sound man is dehydrated.
We'll get him some water. Get him some water.
Armand told the
All right, let's
truth.
fucking go, people. 43 minutes.
Shut her the fuck up.
We're rolling.
101, take one, 8 cam
Rolling.
only. And action. Okay, we're going to start. Could you state your name for the camera?
Justin Bieber.
I see you have my book there. What do you think of... Sorry. Excuse me. Give me a second here.
Daniel, you okay?
I am the vampire Lestat.
Why are we pushing?
I'm immortal.
It's him.
More or less. The light of the sun.
Somebody get him a glass of water?
The sustained heat of an intense fire. These things might destroy me, but then again, they might not. My pretty baby, I got long fangs. Come appraise me, bring your long stakes. That doesn't faze me. I'm an actor in my makeup. I get fatter when we break up. What does it matter who I take her? Another face, another year, another place, another tear. Pick up the pace, rack up the fears. Now we're having fun. Yeah, we're having fun.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was
What'd you
the
think,
song.
Mark?
I actually did enjoy it. I actually do enjoy the song though too, as well.
They
If
use
you
the
watch
actual.
that teaser for like 20 times, like we probably all have, you can see all the little things that they put in are so clever. Like when Lestat first comes in and the first guy to talk to him says, I'm Mark Johnson, we're really happy to have you. That's the producer of the show who does all the after episode talks.
Mhm.
And he's like, I don't
really?
remember you.
That's funny.
Well, and
I
the
just-
introduction is actually from the book. He used the actual book introduction.
Yeah,
Oh.
when he's saying, I am the
Mhm.
vampire Lestat. And you realize if you hear in the background, there's like, why'd you push the button? And the girl's like, he's doing it.
It's
Lestat
him.
is the one telepathically like zooming in on himself and everything.
That's funny.
And if you look at the guy who's clipping the board, he's got a tattoo on his arm that says Armand told the truth.
That's right. Yeah, yes.
I missed that.
I missed that.
I did not see that.
There's so much stuff you can catch on that when you go back and watch it again.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
It
but-
makes me think that he was choking Daniel.
That's
He
what I
was.
thought. And he was
Yes.
doing that, right?
He picks up the book, he's looking at it, and Daniel says, oh, I see you have my book there. And he starts like,
Yeah, I know.
Lestat is like death choking him.
Yeah,
He
the
hates
force
the book.
choking him.
Yeah.
Oh, his faces in every interaction.
Yes.
Like when he's gets a whiff of the dehydrated sound man.
Yeah.
It's like he
Gold.
smelled a fart. He's like,
This
I
better
hope-
not take 2 years. Jeez.
I hope they keep with the mockumentary
uh-huh.
throughout. I know it can't all be that, but I like that. That's an excellent tie-in.
What is that? What was that series that I think it was like VH1 did, like Behind the Music or whatever?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be really cool if it was kind of like that, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Definitely. I think they're actually okay, I don't know how real this is and if it's coming from AMC marketing, but I think some like little flame wars are going on Twitter and stuff. Like there's little like people posting that he's like getting into these like made up feuds with Taylor Swift
Oh,
and
the
everything.
Swifties
And,
have come for
and
him.
they're like, yeah, they're
Why?
like riling up. I don't know if it's manufactured or real.
That'd be
I don't know
funny.
either, but I'm like, do you know he's not real?
No, but that is so awesome. That is so Lestat that he would start trolling people on the internet, especially like Swifties and everything.
Or Bieber kids,
Yeah.
Justin Bieber. That was great.
That was funny. That was hilarious.
Please state your name, Justin Bieber.
But what a genius way to do marketing is to start a like pretend Lestat is like a real rock star out there in our world, so meta to like have him go up and start these just trolling flame wars with various like you know, well-known pop stars and everything. That would be awesome.
I read on I want to give him credit, but I can't think of something geek. I read their thoughts review on the trailer, and they kind of thought that the first guy that was sitting there in place of Lestat until he showed up was kind of an knock or nod to the Lestat from Queen of the Damned with the dark hair, the goth look.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm like, oh, they're gonna go for this goth metal Lestat, and then he walks in like feathers and lime green jacket.
Daniel,
I
Jesus
love it.
Christ, look at him.
I love it. I was getting a bit of obviously we have the Bowie vibes, the Rocky Horror Picture vibes and everything, but at least in those scenes where he's got that white shirt on and the glasses, I was getting so much Kurt Cobain vibes too.
Yeah.
And some Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be an amazing season. I can tell already.
Cannot wait.
The one thing
Yes.
about this production team is so fascinating is that from the jump, from hearing about this show and all the changes they were going to make in it, I just thought, oh, this show's going to bomb. It's going to be so bad. And they surprised me with the first season at how amazing it was, even with all the changes they did. And the second season, I thought, oh, they're just not going to do it as well as they did the first season. It's not going to have as much Lestat. It's just not going to be as good. And like I said, they nailed the landing on that one. And then they instantly put out this teaser because everyone's like, oh God, Rockstar Lestat's going to be a bomb. It's just going to be so ridiculous and campy and over the top. And I think they nailed it with this teaser because it is so awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree.
What they probably lack in like maybe following the book or maybe even just originality, they're gonna make up with Sam Reed's characterization of Lestat, in my honest opinion.
100%.
He's gonna work whatever they throw at him, and it's gonna become amazing. And I still feel like they should have went for a more post-punk sound, but I can definitely do the glam rock. I can definitely vibe with it and flow with it just because I can just already tell he's going to work it and it's going to be amazing. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, Lestat would make music like this. What do you mean? Yeah, he would absolutely make music like this. I can believe this. So, and whoever's going to be casted for Aaliyah is either going to make or break their career because that is or not Aaliyah, but Akasha is going to make or break their career because that is a role that is going to be hard to fill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for all the new characters, Gabrielle especially, Magnus.
Mhm.
I definitely want to see the ancient ones and
Marius
even
is gonna
like
be-
Marius.
yeah. So yes.
Interesting.
Let's just hope it's not 2 years from now.
No,
I'm
I
sure
don't
it's
think it's
not.
gonna
I don't
be.
think so either.
I don't think so.
If
If
they've
they're
already
doing-
filmed something already for a teaser trailer and
Yeah.
have music prepped, they're probably already in the process of doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if they came out late fall. just
Summer
to
2025
wow the
or spring
world,
2025.
but I feel like it's going to be March or
Yeah.
April
Yeah.
of next year.
That'll be good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good. That was so
Yeah.
good.
And if you go out onto YouTube, you can hear the actual full song. They actually did the entire song, and it's out there with lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
have to check it out after this.
Yeah. Or maybe in the morning.
All right. Well, I think that was our coverage of the movie Queen of the Damned, and a little fun look at season 3 of Interview with the Vampire.
Yes. So that was the coverage of this movie. I'm Danny.
And I'm Billy.
And I'm Becky.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Mark.
Thanks for listening.
Listeners, we didn't get a chance to actually record where you could submit your feedback when we were recording this particular episode of Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. So for those of you that actually would like to submit any sort of feedback, be greatly appreciated. All you have to do is go to our Facebook group, which would be facebook.com/Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. There you'll always see an image of what we will be covering. Some of it will be documented long before and be on a list of things that we're going to do. But when you put that in, I will always see it. So please do that. You'll see like an image of the movie or show or what we're covering at that time. Just leave them in the comments below. And that also goes right into Instagram. So if you follow us on Instagram at Adrenaline Cinema Podcast on Instagram, you could leave those comments and I'll get them as well. If you would like to send an email, all you have to do is email us at adrenalincinemapodcast@gmail.com. You can write out your thoughts, a regular texted email, and we'll read them on the next podcast. No matter what it was about, it could be from when we did covered Interview with a Vampire or anything else that we've done long before. If you also prefer to like record yourself on your phone, your computer, or what have you, you can do so and just send that as an attachment. And it says if you're part of the podcast as well. If there's any sort of rating or review for Apple Podcasts or Spotify, which there is, it'd be greatly appreciated if you give us a 5-star and then comment about it, and be amazing for you guys to do that for us. Plus, what you can do, and that's always the best thing to do, is if you're talking to your friends about it, let them know where we can be found if you like what we're doing. Word of mouth is the best way for us to get known and have other people listen to us as well. But other than that, thank you, everybody.